prejudice or without any kind of inequality. He deals with all living beings equally. Somebody politically big, somebody is insignificant. He treated all equally. And Ekapriya Suhrittamaha. The one beloved Suhrittama, the best friend of all people. And Dasavat Sannata Aryangrihi. He always was obedient, like a menial servant towards the lotus feet of great personalities like the Gurus and great Vaishnavas. Angri means lotus feet. Arya means Arya Sangame, the word is used, which means great souls. He was always like a servant, the lotus feet of great souls. Pitravat Dina Vatsalaya. Although he was a 5-year-old boy, the citizens of Hiranyakashipu, they treated Prahlad like a father. So once my special master was asking, how can a 5-year-old boy can be father for such grown-up people? Huh? Yeah, it's quite possible because it depends on one's qualities. He possessed such qualities that although he was 5 years old, he could behave like a father for even grown-up people. So, Pitruvat Deenavatsalaha. Pratruvat Sadrishe Snigdaha. He, with his equal friends in the school, Prahlad behaved like a Pratruvat, like a own blood brother. Like that he dealt with them. And Snigdha is very affectionate. Gurushu. Snigdha Gurushu Ishvara Bhavana. So he was actually friendly with the school mates. He was very affectionate with them, like a brother. He didn't treat them formally like a schoolmate, but he treated them like affectionately, like one would treat one's own brother. Like that he dealt with them. Like how you will deal with your own affectionate brother, like that. And Gurushu Ishvara Bhavanaha. He considered spiritual masters exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like one would treat God himself. Either he dealt with that. And Vidya, Artha, Rupa, Janma, Adhyaha. 5 things he's saying. He had a great education, he had riches, beauty, bodily beauty, aristocracy or nobility of being son of a king of the whole world. Adhyaha means he was endowed with all these things, which means four things: Vidya, Artha, Rupa, Janma, all these things. But Manas Tamba Vivarjitaha. He was completely free from the pride or impudence. Completely was free from it. Nodvignachitto vyasaneshu nispriha Shruteshu drishteshu guneshu avastu drik Dantendriya prana shariradi sada Prasanta kamo rahita sura asuraha. Na udvigna chittaha vyasaneshu nispriha. He was never agitated in his consciousness by any kind of situations. It is like people say, no, I cannot tolerate this. He didn't meet my expectations, or somebody refused to be controlled by me, or somebody insulted me, somebody frustrated me. So he's saying here that Prahlad was born in a family of asuras, but still he was himself not an asura, but a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. Unlike other asuras, he was never envious of Vaishnavas. He was not agitated when put in dangerous situations. He was neither directly nor indirectly interested in fruitive activities described in the Vedas. That means he had no plan to prepare himself to go to heaven by performing some sacrifices. Indeed, he considered everything material to be useless. And therefore, he was completely devoid of material desires. He always controlled his senses and prana, life air. And being of steady intelligence and determination, he subdued all lusty desires. So, Krishna says, Tasya prajna pratishtita, Tasya prajna pratishtita. Several times he says in the Bhagavad Gita, you will see. So, prajna means contemplative intelligence. That means one has deeply contemplated on the scriptural information, messages, and has come to the right conclusion. Like if you see, Dhritarashtra, after having heard from Vidura, he contemplated on that knowledge spoken by Vidura for a long time, and then prajna got arisen in his system. That means by that contemplation, wisdom dawned. That is actually called prajna. Prajna means a person can clearly see sense gratification is another name for misery. You can synonymous to misery. You can see that. He can see the far-sighted consequences which are going to come later. Now itself we can see. He is having prajna. Tasya prajna, dukkeshu, anuvignamana, sukeshu, vigatas praha, vitaraga, bhayakrodha, sitadhir muniruchyate. Sitadhi, he says, he has a fixed intelligence. Dhi is sthita. So, he is not a searching muni. This muni has searched and come to the conclusion already. He is tasya prajna pratishtita. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi asyendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. So, he was like that. So, this is about Prahlada's attitude towards what is material. So, he was free from material desire and he had subdued his lusty desires. And although he was born in a family of Asuras, he was a great devotee of Vishnu. Yasmin mahad guna rajan grihyante kavivirmuhu nate adhuna pidhiyante yadha bhagavatishvare. Narada is telling Yudhishthira, O king, Prahlad Maharaj's good qualities are still glorified by learned saints and Vaishnavas, as all good qualities are always found existing in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They also exist forever in his devotee, Prahlad Maharaj. Yeah. Prabhupada says, Prahlad Maharaj still lives in Vaikuntha, as well as the material world, and a planet called Sutala. He appears in the Bali Maharaj's pastime also. You must be knowing. And Bali Maharaj surrendered Atma Nivedanam. That time Prahlad came and blessed him. He can live in Goloka. At the same time, he can live in Goloka also for the sake of pastimes. Like the Lord, devotee can also exist in two places. Prabhupada says. Yam sadhu gata sadasi ripavo apisura nripa patimanam prakurvanti kimutanye bhavadrishaha. In an assembly where there are discourses about saints and devotees, O King Yudhishthira, even the enemies of the demons, namely the demigods, what to speak of you, would cite Prahlad as an example of a great devotee. So, now he is going to talk other qualities. Like here he says, now he is going to list transcendental qualities. Earlier we heard qualities in goodness. Now he will talk qualities that are transcendental. Because Prahlad was doing Parabhakti, Shuddha Bhakti was doing, so he exhibited some more amazing qualities. Gunairalamasankyeyair mahatmyam tasya suchyate vasudeve bhagavati yasya naisargiki ratihi. For Prahlad, Vasudeva Bhakti was naisargiki, natural for him. It was default option for him. Natural. Generally for the conditioned souls, engaging in worldly activities is default option. Which is called Gramya Buddhi, we call it. And oftentimes there's a great struggle to uplift the consciousness from Gramya Buddhi to Vasudeva Bhakti. And therefore, so many classes we have, and so much chanting we do, so much services we take up, and repeatedly we slip and fall and keep asking how I can get up, how I can get up, isn't it? That is a general situation of any conditioned soul. Whereas for Prahalad, Vasudeva Bhagavati was just a Naisargiki Rati, natural attraction he had. Who could list the innumerable transcendental qualities of Prahalad Maharaj? He had unflinching faith in Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, and unalloyed devotion to him. His attachment to Lord Krishna was natural because of his previous devotional service. Although his good qualities cannot be enumerated, they prove that he was a great soul. From here starts very sweet qualities. Nastya Kridanako Balo Jadavattan Manastaya Krishna Graha Grahitatma Naveda Jagadidrisham. See, Nasta Kridanakaha. He gave up all his sportive activities and tendencies for playing, even as a balaha, as a boy also. And Jadavat Tad Manastaya. He was absorbed in Krishna. Jadavat means like stunned in ecstasy. This also comes when Uddhava was approached by Vidura. When Vidura asked him, the moment Vidura asked about Krishna, Uddhava became stunned like a stone, it is said, which means he's like so stunned that tears are continuously streaming from his eyes. And he tried to speak, but he could not speak in ecstasy. After a long time, then Uddhava started speaking. There Prabhupada writes, Uddhava came down from the Vaikuntha to this world so that he can describe the pastimes of Krishna. And then Prabhupada asked the question, he was already in the world only, why should we say he is coming down from Vaikuntha? That means his body was in this world, but his consciousness was posted in Vaikuntha. So that consciousness he brought from there to this world. And then he started describing pastimes of Krishna, he says. So those devotees whose consciousness is posted in spiritual world, they will become stunned in their material bodies. They will be amazed and stunned. So, and then Krishna Graha Grahita Atma is saying, by Krishna, who is like a strong Graha, which is influencing. Some people are influenced by Rahu or Ketu, correct? Na? They speak bad words, they're critical, they are yelling, shouting, losing temper. And then they go to Jyotish to ask what happened to you. They say Rahu is catching you. Allah, Rahu is looking at you, or some bad planet is looking at you. So in the same manner, positively speaking, some devotee is flooded with good qualities, very naturally devotional qualities. That means Krishna is glancing at him. If Krishna is glancing at a devotee, naturally all good qualities manifest in the body of the devotee. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunaistatra samasate sura. Of course, somebody may ask why somebody is glanced by Rahu and somebody by Krishna. That depends on the performance of devotion service by the devotee. So, Krishna Graha, Grahita Atma, whose mind was fully attracted, you see, by Krishna. Na Veda Jagadidrisham, how the world is going, he didn't know. Which means what? He was wondering how people can live without Krishna in this world. Will people not cry without Krishna? How can they live for a moment, he was thinking. Actually, why he would think like that? There are some special qualities of Lord Krishna mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita towards his devotees. At least I can think of 5 qualities. One of the qualities of the Lord is, Lord says, anyone who becomes my devotee, karma bandha vinirmukta, he says. Karma bandha, he becomes free from material bondage. Yajnarthat karmanaha anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. You become free from karma bandhan if you offer any activity to Krishna. You connect any activity to Krishna, immediately you are relieved. Even it is as bad as a violent war, what Arjuna was embarking on. Even that violent war, when it offered to the Lord, Arjuna became free from karma bandhan. Secondly, the Lord says, Vimukto, he says, my devotees become liberated. Then he says, Mamupeshyasi, they come back to me. not only become free from karma bandhan, you also become liberated. You also come back to me. This is special for my devotees, he says. Then Lord also says that those who want to do my devotion service, they can be possessing given no good qualification. For example, Mam kipartha vyabhashitya ye pisyu papayo nayaha Shriyo Vaishastata Shudraste Piyanti Param Gatim. He's saying that the women have many times responsibilities at home for the children and for the husband and for the in-laws. And when material situations are in a state of flux, the women become very worried and concerned and fearful due to insecurity. Therefore, their mind is often absorbed in sorting them out. Similar to Kayadu and Prahalad, they both heard from Narada Muni, but who remembered what one heard? Who? Prahalad remembered. Kayadu didn't remember. Kayadu was worried about what will happen to my husband in the forest. When will he come back after penance? What will happen to my child in the womb? She was in anxiety. So, this is about Sri. Then he is saying Vaishya means Vaishya is always money, 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 money is any. They're counting money always, absorbed in money. They even dream about money also. Sometimes Vaishyas get a dream of big stack of currency notes in their dream. They keep dreaming about money. And Shudras, they never go to Gurukula, they run away. They don't want to sit and hear any class, or are they interested in philosophy. Then how will they understand God? But even these people, Krishna says, if they agree to chant my holy name, they can come back to me. That is the concession Krishna gives. You don't need any big qualification. There was one old lady in Radha Damodar temple. In the early morning, before 5 a.m., she would go to Yamuna and get one pot of water. And she was very, very old lady, like 75, 80 years old. Her hands would be shaking when she would be carrying the pot. Skinny lady. She would come and keep it just outside the puja room. And the pujari will later on take it. After an hour or so, pujari will open the altar and then see that pot of water is there. He will pick it up and take it inside for Abhishekam and all the activities. So Prabhupada says, in that early morning, dark morning, before the sun fully comes to eastern sky, there was no one to see her service and pat her, give a pat on her back or appreciate her. There was only one person witnessing it. Who? Krishna. The Krishna is watching. And Prabhupada says, definitely she will go back to Godhead because she is doing Yatantascha Dridhavrata. It's a daily service she was doing. In the old age also, with great difficulty, he picked up that pitcher of water and brought it. So in this way, Lord says, if anyone renders service to me and is devoted to me, Striyo Vaishya Sata Shudra Te Apyanti Paramvati. And they don't need any big qualification other than some intent to love me and serve me, he says. And then Krishna also says that sometimes accidentally my devotees, while endeavoring to become my devotee, they slip from the pure path and they fall prey to sins. But Lord says, seeing the repentance and remorse, seeing the sincerity, I forgive them, he says. Api chet suduracharo bhajate mamananya bhat sadhureva samantavyaha samyak vavasito hi saha kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvachantim negacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. The Lord is saying that even if one falls prey to abominable activity sometimes, but if it is accidental, not intended, and if the devotee is repentant and remorseful, Lord says, I will quickly bring the devotee back to track. Like no mother or father will want a child with a toddler, to fall on the ground and break his hands or legs. Generally, any mother, father lends their hands for the child to walk. Child with great difficulty walks. And they want to see the child succeed. Similarly, Lord also wants devotees to succeed in the path of devotion service. And the Lord is always helpful, kind, and finding out ways how to bring devotee back to his lotus feet. So, while walking towards the Lord, like a toddler child slipping and falling on the ground, if a devotee slips, Lord says that I will make a plan to get the devotee back to me. Na vai jano jatu katanchana vrajen mukunda sevyan javadanga samsritim smaran mukundangri upaguhanam punar vihatumichen narasagraho janaha. In this verse, it is said that Narada says this. Navai jano jatu katanchana vrajen. If a devotee of the Lord even once has tasted a few droplets of honey from Krishna's lotus feet in the form of some higher taste in devotional service, then he says, Mukunda Sevyan Yavadanga Samsritim. Mukunda Sevi means he was a Mukunda Sevi at one time. Because of that, he became a Rasagrahajan. When you are a Mukunda Sevi, serving Lord Mukunda, then you get some rasa and you become a Rasagraha. You got some droplets of higher taste in that, spiritual taste. Yesterday, one boy had come to Albert Road Temple. I gave a class. After the class, he came. He had some beard and hair and everything. So he came and said, Prabhuji, I was staying in a student center. Later on, the morning program and everything, I felt it was too much. So I left the devotees. And they were repeatedly calling me, following me up. I didn't respond. Then finally, they left me. And I got solidly kicked by Maya. I got into so many bad activities. And my body and mind and senses are burning practically. I suffered so terribly. So now after many, many months, I'm coming back again now. It was the first time. Again, some devotee called me, I came. He said, now I came, I'm feeling so happy here. So this path is such a pure path and blissful path and successful path. But due to my old nature, I was thrown away, he said. So I was remembering that verse. That means, and then he was remembering how wonderful his days were in the student center. Prabhu, we used to wake up in the morning, take a bath, and wear dhoti kurta, wear tilak, and clean life, pure life, nice prasad we used to eat. And our minds would never go to unwanted things. But the moment I left the company of devotees, I was battered by the waves of Maya. I got into all kinds of bad habits. I was kicked and slapped and punched and, buried so badly because Tamaguna took over him. But now after getting kicks again, he has come back to his senses now. The old taste pulled him back. So this has happened to many people. And then therefore Krishna says, this is one of his mercy. He forgives the devotee and brings him back to the track. He says, Abhichet Chudracharo Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhag, says. This is mercy. Another aspect of devotional service that Krishna is saying is those who are engaged in my devotional service, even if they're illiterate, they cannot read the books of the spiritual master or acharya. I enter their heart and dissipate the darkness of ignorance, he says. What is that verse? Tesham evanukampattam maham ajnanajam tamaha nashayamyatma bhavastu jnanadipena bhasvata. He's saying, I lit up the torchlight of knowledge in the heart. And whatever Shastri conclusions one may read and understand from the scriptures, I give the same conclusion as a super soul to him. He says, even for illiterates, uneducated. Ashishi Gaurnitai ki. There was one, there is one temple in Vrindavan called Banki Bihari temple, So in that temple, crowds of people would throng the temple even on an ordinary day. What is the festival days? So one such weekend, Sunday or something, huge crowds of people had come. So one big Zamindar, hefty body, he entered the temple and another man was coming from the opposite end and they both hit one another's body and they fell to the ground, both of them. Zamindar got up, he was very angry. He shouted at the man, are you blind? The man said, yes sir, I am blind. He said, he was actually blind. He was actually blind. Sorry sir, yes I am blind. Then still Zamindar's anger didn't subside. He said, if you are blind, what business you have in the temple? Because you can't see the Lord. Why do you unnecessarily come and hit other people and trouble them? So the man said, sir, I am not coming to temple to see the Lord. I am coming to temple to be seen by him. Because the child should always be within the glance of the mother. As long as the child is within the glance of the mother, the child is protected. With that idea, I come to the temple to give hazard to my Lord every morning. salute. I salute him and go. Not only that, when I come to the temple to take darshan, the sadhu mahatmas are always speaking something in glorification of the Lord. One or two words may enter my ears. But sir, my experience is, even if they spoke one glory of the Lord, that keeps ringing in my heart all day. Morning I hear a short time. I go out for my job. All day it keeps ringing in my ears what I heard. And that reminds me of my eternal friend, my Supreme Lord Krishna, more and more. Therefore I come to temple. And then the man said, yeah, sir, you might have heard Krishna brought back to life the coward boys who were dead in the bank of Yamuna after drinking the waters, poisoned waters of Yamuna. Correct now? When Kaliya had come. So, my Lord's eyes are Amritmaya eyes. They do Amrit Varsha. By looking at the dead boys, he woke up. Similarly, Lord, if he looks at me, I am confident that he can wake up my sleeping soul. Therefore, I come here, he said. So, the rich man, the big man, when he saw this blind man speak like this, he was ashamed. And the rich man said, you are not blind, I am blind. You are realized fellow, full knowledge. So I unnecessarily scolded you. I am sorry. So, and that way you will see, although he was blind, he could not read any book. The wisdom about the Lord and his qualities dawned in the heart of that blind man because Lord inspired him as a super soul in his heart. You see? Isn't it? So, in this Lord says, Tesham evan kampartam aham jnanajam tamah nashayami atma bhavastu jnanadipena bhasa. Then Lord also says that those devotees who have come to the raga stage or bhava, not even bhava, even raga. Raga stage starts from asakti onwards. When they come to ruchi and asakti stage, I give them the buddhi by which they can come to me. He says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. They can easily come back to me. I clearly give them the direction how to come to me. So, they perform devotion service lovingly, priti purvakam, with great love, not out of duty. They do it out of love. And they always perform devotion service, not occasionally, at every moment. They go from one devotional activity to another, moment after moment. And they always do those services with great delight. They never get tired in devotion service. And they always feel that I am not doing enough. They always want to do more and more. For such devotees who are in love with me, for them, I give them the intelligence by which they can very easily come back to me, he says. So, in this way, these are all the promises the Lord makes. So, the Lord's loving glance is always upon his devotees, like a mother's loving glance upon the child, or a cow's loving glance upon the calf. So, Lord is Bhakta Vatsal. He cleanses the devotees' impurities personally. And Lord says, for my devotee, I pay a personalized attention to my devotee. Yatra gayanti mad bhakta, tatra tisthami naradara. Aham vasami vaikunthe yoginam hridayeshua. Lord says. So, actually, there is a big difference between Lord dealing with his devotees and Paramatma dealing with the ordinary living entity. Paramatma says that very clearly. Sarvasya chaham hridisal nivishto mattasmatir jnanam apohanam cha vedascha sarvair ahameva vedyo vedan vedanta krit veda videva chaham. He says that mattasmatir jnanam apohanam. Super soul gives forgetfulness also. If somebody says, I want to smoke a cigarette, I want to drink liquor, I don't want to become your devotee, the Lord provides facility for that also. Ye tamam prapadyante. Whatever you want, you do it. You choose and I provide. That is the route Paramatma takes. Whereas Bhagavan takes different route. If a devotee says, I want to smoke a cigarette, Lord will give a slap. Huh? You know, you already know everything. Still you want to do it, take the slap. And you bring him to the right track. That's the difference between Paramatma and Bhagavan. So you will see that the Lord's treatment of his devotees is much different. And Lord sometimes also punishes the devotee when devotee does some blunder. But his punishment is not as bad as the punishment awarded by Maya Devi. Hmm. Like you will see, Maya Devi's punishment is like a police removing the belt and whipping a pickpocketer. It's like that. Whereas Lord punishing the devotee is like a loving mother pinching a child or waking up a sleeping child. Like mother has made sweet rice, but child is not getting up. She is touching the body of the child, he sleeps on the other side. And she gives a pinch. Hey, get up. And child suddenly jumps up and who is pinching? Quack, 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 quack. And the mother gives sweet rice, take sweet rice. So like the Prabhupada says, Lord actually wakes up a sleeping devotee to give him mercy by sometimes giving a apparent punishment like he gave for Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj was given the body of a deer, only a small punishment for one lifetime to shake up and wake up the careless devotee. When a devotee becomes careless, Lord wants to make the devotee more alert and cautious. Then he may. And how do you know that? The proof is that Bharat Maharaj was, of course, careless in the beginning, but when he became a the deer showed certain symptoms which are mentioned in Bhagavatam. He didn't eat lushy green grass. He thought if I eat lushy green grass, I'll become plumpy and I'll be looking here and there for some mate and I will get lost. So he ate only dry grass. He left his birthplace, Kalanjara Parvat, and went to Palahashrama because he wanted to avoid the pampering by the social network of his friends in Kalanjara Parvat. He wanted to go to Tapovanam, Palahashram, where sages and saints were serious about going back to Godhead. He went there to associate with them. There he was always weeping tears and repenting, thinking of his foolish past, how he became attached to a deer, and now became a deer. So you will see that Prabhupada says in this way the deer's body, Lord gave spiritual advancement for Bharat on a spiritual plane, but on a material plane he gave a small punishment to him. Go from the body of a human being to a body of a deer. In this way, Lord treats devotees very personally, one-on-one. What is he doing with which devotee? Nobody can understand unless we are given explanation by some acharya. Acharyas give explanation. Otherwise, we can't understand. Like somebody may say, why Chitragita became Vritarasura, such a good devotee? He had taken Diksha also from Narada. He was chanting Sankarshan mantra. He had become a Vidyadhara Loka king. He was going in the plain and chanting the whole glories of the Lord. Such a good soul. Suddenly some encounter with Shiva and Parvati and then he becomes Vritarasura. Prabhupada gives the answer. Lord wanted to accelerate Vritarasura's return back home, back to Godhead. Otherwise, Vritarasura had a tinge of superiority complex that I am a initiated devotee and now I am a devotee of Sankarshan, I have got his darshan and he'll be performing pious activities and he may be accruing more pious activities. He may be continuing his term in the material world for a longer time. So Lord didn't want that. Lord wanted to create a awkward position for him to return back to Godhead. So in this way, the Lord has many sublime qualities in relation to his devotees, which was all known to Prahlad. Therefore, Prahlad was not interested in childish playthings. He gave them up all and he remained silent and dull. That means materially inert, spiritually alert. Yeah. His mind was always affected by Krishna consciousness. He could not understand how the world goes on being fully absorbed in sense gratificatory activities. On the other hand, people in the world, their minds are always affected by sense gratification. And those people wonder how these people, Krishna conscious people, get up so early in the morning. It's opposite, correct? No? People's minds are absorbed in Indriya Tarpan and they are wondering about devotees' apparently quote unquote strange activities. Whereas Prahlad was doing the opposite. He was absorbed in Krishna and he thought, how the world can go on without Krishna? These people's life. So he was anointed with love of God in his eyes, Premanjana Charita, Bhakti Vilochanena. Naisargiki Rati. Natural attachment to Krishna here. Prabhupada is saying, just as a materialistic person is always absorbed in thoughts of material gain, the Mahabhagavata, like Prahlad, is always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, he says. Asina paryatan ashnan shayana pravivan bruvan nanusandhatayetani Govinda parirambhitaha. See, whatever activity he was doing, asina means when he is sitting or walking, paryatan, ashnan when he is eating, shayanaha when he is sleeping, prapiban if he is drinking milk or something, bruvan when he is speaking, when he is doing any activity, nan sandhata etani, in all these activities, Govinda parirambhita, he was always feeling embraced by Krishna. He's saying, the arms of Govinda were embracing him always. He never felt alone. He was enlivened in his senses, being embraced by Krishna while doing all the different activities. Wherever he went, Govinda was with him. Yeah. These activities of the body were performed without his knowledge. As a father and mother cared for their child, Govinda cared for Prahlad Maharaj, who remained always absorbed in thoughts of Govinda. Actually, how a devotee's mind works, anything that happens, he thinks, my Lord, dear Lord Govinda only has arranged it. Like, one devotee went to the bus stop. Exactly as soon as he went to the bus stop, bus came. Immediately. And he got into the bus. And other people who were standing at the bus stop said, we are waiting 2 hours, this bus didn't come. You just arrived in the bus also, you brought the bus with you. They said. The devotee said, Lord Govinda has arranged. Then as soon as I came, immediately, God arranged for this because I have to reach the program on time. So, and you will see the devotee will be given inspiration by the Lord to understand. Sometimes the Lord performs such magic. Like our devotees are going in bus party. They wanted to enter one village, but they stopped in the entrance of the village. They said that something is going on, some construction is going on, they cannot go. They said, no, we will take slightly different route. They said, no, you cannot go into the village. For some reason, they were stopped. So our devotees are always planned in advance. Morning, 3 hours, they'll go to one place. Evening, 3 hours, they'll go to another place. So morning, they were very sad that today the morning 3 hour distribution is finished. So then they went a little bit in the village and they came out. Then they were thinking where to go. Then they were going this way, that way. And on the way, they met one man. He stopped the bus and said, why don't you come to our village? They said, no, we haven't planned that. We haven't seen your village. He said, I will take you. He took them to the village. 800 books went. That they had such a grand reception. They didn't even know about that village at all. And the man actually, as if sent by Krishna, like an angel. He came and took them, and a very complicated route it was. The man went in a bike and showed them the route. They went this way, that way. They went in, 800 books went in one shot in the morning. So they were actually thinking of pushing 200 in the previous village. So Krishna blocked the 200 wala opportunity and gave them 800 wala opportunity. Isn't it? So then devotees can see the hand of Lord. Why Lord is blocking? Correct, no? Sometimes the mother doesn't allow a child to touch knife or fire. Similarly, Lord sometimes, stops the devotee from going in one direction, gives another direction. So devotee is always protected and guided by the Lord. Kvachit prudati vaikuntha chinta shabala chetanaha kvachit hasati tat chinta lada udgayati kvachit. Sometimes Prahlad would suddenly find Lord vanishing. Lord disappear from his sight. Then Rudati, then he would cry. And he would become very anxious, thinking, oh, where is my Lord? Till now I was seeing his beautiful smile. Where has he vanished? Sometimes again the Lord would come. Kvachit hasati tat chinta. Now, when he would see the Lord again, now he would smile. And he would feel great happiness. And uncontrollably, he would loudly call out the Lord's names. Like you say, no, Evam, Hasati, Roditi, Rauti, Gayati, Unmadavan Nrityati. Huh? Like a madman, he would jump up and down and dance in great ecstatic love, remembering the Lord. Huh? Like that. Yeah. See? The mother leaves a small child in his bed or cradle and goes away to attend to some family duties. The child immediately understands that his mother has gone away. Therefore, he cries. But as soon as the mother returns and cares for the child laughs and becomes jubilant. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj, being always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, sometimes for separation thinking, where is Krishna? This is explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahena. When an exalted devotee feels that Krishna is invisible, having gone away, he cries in separation. And sometimes when he sees that Krishna has returned to care for him, he laughs, just as child sometimes, you uh, laughs upon the understanding that mother is taking care of him. These are symptoms called bhava, he says. When Srila Prabhupada was in South India, there was one Veerasamy. This Veerasamy was a High Court magistrate, very big man. He had invited Prabhupada to his house. So the man was telling, Swamiji, I am chanting 4 rounds of Hare Krishna now, and I am intending to come to 16 so that I can get initiation from you. And then Prabhupada said, oh, that's wonderful. Come quickly to 16, I can give you initiation, Prabhupada said. Man said, but there is one problem, Swami. We are from South India. Giving up coffee is difficult for us. I'm wondering. Prabhupada said, don't worry. You just keep chanting. When you come to 16, everything will go up. So Prabhupada was encouraging him. So Prabhupada sat in the sofa and all of the devotees were sitting around. So Veeraswamy opened the bureau and brought her this much size, almost like 5-6 inch high silver Krishna. It's like solid silver, very costly. Maybe 20 lakhs or 40 lakhs. No, big Krishna this size. So he came and gave it as a gift to Prabhupada. And so Prabhupada kept it on the table and watching. He said, beautiful, very wonderful. Meantime, Saraswati, little Saraswati girl came running. Because she was a little child. And she wanted to take that Krishna and play with that. Now devotees were worried that if she takes it, she may keep it here and there and she may lose it. It's a very costly thing. So some devotees took it away. Then she ran behind those devotees. Finally, the devotees gave it to Prabhupada. So then she was running here and there searching. And Prabhupada was watching whether she will come to him to take from him. So one devotee was an intelligent devotee. He said, Saraswati, who has Krishna? He asked. And immediately, as if inspired by the super soul, Saraswati turned toward Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada is the one who gives Krishna. Krishna said, Tomar, Krishna dite paro. Tomara shakti ache, we said. Then she got a clue. And she ran towards Prabhupada. And Prabhupada also kept Krishna like this. And she was pulling Prabhupada's hand. I want to see that. And Prabhupada gave Krishna to the other hand and showed her, I don't have here. Then she was pulling the other hand. So then she started crying. Tears were streaming from her eyes. Then Prabhupada gave her Krishna. Then when she got the Krishna, she became very jubilant. So His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj wrote this in his book, Watering the Seed. This scene. And then he wrote too a couple of lessons for us. He said that, your devotee should desperately search for Krishna. Like Saraswati was searching for Krishna. Until the devotee practically sheds tears for Krishna, Krishna is not going to manifest easily. Which means in our life, if we want anything other than Krishna, then we will get those things only. But only when we desperately want only Krishna and nothing else, at that time, Krishna will manifest himself. That's what happened to Saraswati. And another thing is, if one wants to attain Krishna, one shouldn't just go out in the street and search after Krishna here and there. We can't even search after him in the holy places or like Vrindavan. Don't search after Radha and Krishna in the bushes of Vrindavan, Prabhupada said. If one wants to get the divine couple, one should go to a pure devotee and surrender one's life to him. Because only a pure devotee can avoid Krishna. Nothing else. There's no other way. Why? Because we all have experience in this world. It's very difficult to relieve ourselves from Maya. At the same time, it is very difficult to capture Krishna also. Krishna is far away, difficult to capture, and Maya is very nearby and very difficult to give up. But there is one person who has done both, who is relieved of Maya and who has captured Krishna in his heart. Who is it? The Acharya, pure devotee. So therefore, we have to catch that person because he has got Krishna. And from him, we can also get Krishna. Correct? Therefore, Prahlad heard from Narada. Therefore, he could get Krishna. You see? In this way, he was feeling the presence of Krishna. Nadate kvachit utkantho vilajjo nrityati kvachit kvachit tad bhavana yuktas tanmayo nu chakaraha. So sometimes Prahlad loudly sang a song in glorification of the Lord. Vilajjo nrityati kvachit. Not knowing where is he got lost in dancing in great ecstasy, not bothering about what people may think about him. So this is the nature of an advanced devotee. You know, Lokalajja he gives up. Like one boy was telling me, Prabhu, in this entire world, you send me on Harinam Sankirtan anywhere I will go except my own town. He said, I asked, why? Why you can't go to your town, Harinam? Prabhu, all relatives will be watching from their windows. What will happen to me? I'm afraid. That means he is too much bodily conscious. Correct, no? He is fearing that if relatives see me, what will they think of me? So, image conscious, as we say. Prahlad was he image conscious? Villajo nrityati kvachit. He didn't have any image consciousness. He actually, Sarva Upadi, gave up all material identities. And he was dancing in great ecstasy, great joy. This is the right way that bhakti should be performed, actually. So he was singing also loudly and dancing jubilantly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one place says, there are 4 symptoms of a devotee who is really in ecstasy while taking part in Harinam Sankirtana. He says, Uchchakari, he says, one should sing the Kirtan in a loud voice. Now, sometimes people don't sing at all. They don't move the lips. They don't raise the tone. But one should sing Uchchakari, he says. Then another symptom, he says, Urdhvabahu, he says. Both hands should be up in the mood of feeling shelter of the Lord and begging for his shelter. And then he says, Hridayabari, he says. That means the holy name should be sung with a wholehearted consciousnness. Like Krishna says, Tad bhavita. He says, no. Aham sarva prabhu matta sarva pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Similarly, another verse, Yomam eva sambudo janati purushottamam sa sarva vit bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. With a wholehearted consciousness one should sing. That is Hridayabari, the heart, he says. And then the 4th one is Nrityakari. Both legs should be above the ground. So these are the 4 symptoms of a wonderful Sankirtan. What are they? Uchchakari, Urdhvabahu, Hridayabari, Nrityakari. Then that is how the Bengali Vaishnavas, when they came to Puri, they were performing the Prem Sankirtan. So, Vilajjo nrityati kvachit. Without any shame, he danced in a public place and uncontrollable ecstasy. Yeah. And then kvachit tad bhavana yukta. And then tanmayo anuchakaraha. He felt oneness with Krishna. What is this oneness? You see, sometimes you watch a movie and come back. After coming back, people act out some of the scenes. How the hero walked, or how the hero stylishly moved his hair, or how the hero did some sign. Correct, no? People imitate. How many of you have seen boys or girls imitating hero or heroine? You've seen that, correct, no? Why they do that? Because they are tanmayata they are experiencing. They are feeling so much. In South India, there was one Rajinikanth in those days. You know, he would take a cigarette and toss it in the air and catch it. And only once he did in the movie. That became such a famous thing. All small kids, after coming back from everybody started catching pencil. So I went to one home. Generally, the mothers will tell a child, "Beta, Swamiji has come, chant some mantra." They will gently chant this, Saraswati, Namastubhyam, Marave, Kamarupini, Vidyarambam, Karishyami, Siddhir Me Sada. This is a shloka anybody in South India children will recite. But this mother, strangely, when I went to their home, He said, "Beta, show how Rajinikanth catches cigarette." you know, and that kid is catching. So that means, this kid is experiencing Tanmayata with Rajinikanth, correct? No? Some hero. But these are all zeros, no? Fallible heroes. Similarly, gopis felt Tanmayata with Krishna, therefore they acted out Krishna. How? They said, "Oh, hey Kaliya, today I will subdue you. You cannot poison Yamuna." Saying this, one gopi climbed on the shoulder of another gopi. That means she was feeling absorbed in the pastime of Krishna and subduing Kaliya. Another gopi took the end of her sari and said, "Hey, all Vajabasis, come, take shelter of this Govardhan. Indra cannot do anything to you." She was telling like that. And this was all happening in the class when Uddhava was giving a class. And demo started already. As a part of the class, demonstration also started. So that time Uddhava thought, my Lord, these gopis are such great lovers of Krishna. They got so excited and absorbed in love for Krishna that Tanmayo Anuchakaraha. Prahlad also sometimes would act out how the Lord would behave, how he would stand playing his flute in a threefold bending form, or how Krishna would dance on Kaliya. He would imitate such kinds of things, imitating the pastimes of the Lord. Yeah. So when Prahlad felt Lord is far away, he would call loudly, just like Lord Chaitanya would call out for Krishna running behind the sand dune, like that. Or when he saw that the Lord was before him, he was fully jubilant. Sometimes thinking himself, one will supreme imitated the Lord's pastimes. In separation from the Lord, he would sometimes show the symptoms of madness, premonmad or divyonmad. These feelings of a devotee would not be appreciated by impersonalists. One must go further and further into spiritual understanding. Then Shanta Dasya Sakya, Vachalya Madhurya. In this way, devotee feels relationship. Yeah. In this way, Prabhupada says, Nadati, he would cry sometimes. And Krishna immediately would appear saying, "My dear child, do not cry, I am coming." And then, "Here is my Lord is coming." Like the Prahlad said. Kvachit utpulakastushnim aste samsparsha nibritaha aspanda pranayananda salilami litekshana. Yeah. See, Kvachit utpulakaha is bodily hairs would stand on end out of ecstasy. And tushni, he would completely become silent. And samsparsha nirvritaha, he would feel blissful by the, like we say, Sausvarya, Saurabhya. Saukumarya means the Lord's touch. When the Lord would embrace Prahlad, by that touch he would feel blissful by the contact of the Lord. Aspanda, steady, pranayananda, he felt transcendental bliss, the relationship of love. Salila, amilita, ikshana, his heights were always filled up with welling up with tears of premashru, bashpa, bashpa kalaya, like that. See, he sometimes feels his pangs of separation, tears flow incessantly from his half-closed eyes. This was Prahlad. Sa uttama shloka padara vindayor nishevaya kinchana sangalabdhaya tanvan param nirvritim atmano muhar dussangadina syamanashamam vyadhat. Because of association with perfect unalloyed devotees like Narada, who had nothing to do with anything material, Prahlad Maharaj constantly engaged in the service of the Lord's lotus feet. By seeing his bodily features when he was in perfect ecstasy, persons who were very poor in spiritual understanding, which means materialistic persons, they became purified. In other words, Prahlad Maharaj bestowed upon them transcendental bliss. So, the Gramya Buddhi, materialistic consciousness can be evaporated in the association of very advanced devotees. Like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu, they instantly gave Krishna Prema to even people like 𝐂𝐻𝐌𝐌𝐍 and very degraded people. One moment, I heard a story of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going to South India. In South India, Mahaprabhu would go from one village to another. Many people would follow him. And in the village frontiers, they would take off. And then Mahaprabhu would walk further alone, with his servant. And then when he would go to frontiers and then walk a little bit in the forest kind of thing, and again the next village would come, correct? So in this way, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going from one village to another, in the frontiers of one village, he found a pond where there was a stone where one dhobi was washing the clothes and was beating, pat, 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 like that. The village, they do that with the cloth they hit on the rock to make it clean. So the dhobi was with two hands beating. So Mahaprabhu thought, at least one customer I got today here. So Mahaprabhu went to him and told him, "Oh dhobi, please chant Hari." And dhobi never even lifted his head. Can you imagine? He never even lifted his head and looked at Lord Chaitanya. He didn't do that. He was going on beating because he was very work oriented. Then Mahaprabhu came from the other side and looked at him and said, "Hey dhobi, can't you chant once Hari?" Dhobi said, "Where do you have time? I have to wash all these clothes." Mahaprabhu said, "I will wash it for you if you chant Hari." That came as a surprise to the dhobi. Then he stopped his work and said, "What? You will do my work? Tell me what I should do." And Mahaprabhu said, "Just chant Hari." So the dhobi said, "Hari." Mahaprabhu said, "Say 2 times, Hari, Hari." And he said, "Hari, Hari." Then Mahaprabhu said, "Tell 3 times, Hari, Hari, Hari." So Mahaprabhu said 3 times, and that fellow repeated 3 times. And Mahaprabhu laughed. He was very happy that this fellow has faithfully followed. And then Mahaprabhu proceeded ahead. He didn't wash any clothes. He proceeded ahead. And this fellow got into ecstasy. Hari, 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 Hari. Boliye. Hari, 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 Hari. Hari, 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 Hari. Hari, 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 Hari. Hari, 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 Hari. Like that he was singing and dancing. And more than 4 hours, can you imagine? All over, he was running all around and dancing. And his wife came at noon time bringing lunch box and saw all the clothes are unwashed. And they were saying, "Hari, Hari." She was taken by surprise. She thought that some ghost has haunted this fellow. So she went to the villagers and brought them. So those villagers came in a group to stop him. Whichever fellow caught his shoulder, then what he did? He also had a Hari. When somebody else caught him, that fellow also got the Hari Hari booth. In this way, the wife was shocked. Now all the fellows became Hari Hari fellows. Actually, this is not an exaggeration. This is how ISKCON also spreaded, correct? No? Now, if you see, those fellows who were drinking, smoking, drugs, everything, they got the holy name and how they got transformed, correct? No? So, this way you will find that people, once they are touched by Krishna, then the heart transformation takes place. They become completely oblivious to the material world. So in this way, even the people who are poor in spiritual understanding, even they became great devotees. See, apparently Prahlad was tortured by his father in various circumstances. In such material conditions, one cannot have an undisturbed mind. But since bhakti is unconditional, Prahlad was never disturbed by chastisements of his father, Hiranyakashipu. On the contrary, the bodily symptoms of his ecstatic love for the Supreme Lord turned the minds of his friends, who had also been born in atheistic families. Instead of being disturbed by the torments of his father, Prahlad influenced his friends and cleansed their minds. This is a very important point, this point. Like many times what happens, we may say, "I am a devotee of Krishna," but some material situation disturbs us. And then people who come to attend programs from you to get elevated by you, they also have to hear all your worries and your grievances. You understand? No? Say in ISKCON scenario, you had some tussle with some group of devotees and your mind is afflicted by those pangs. And then somebody else comes to associate with you and become elevated by you. And then you went out your grievances to them. Do they benefit? So we damage ourselves, we damage others also. Correct? No? On the contrary, therefore it is very important for especially practicing and preaching devotees to be spiritually advanced. We have to be like shock observer. Any amount of grievances, problems, dualities come in our life, we should be able to observe it, not be affected by it. On the other hand, to those whom we are preaching, we should be able to ecstatically present Krishna consciousness. Is it not true? No. So Prahlad had both these qualities. He was not disturbed by the torments of his father on one hand. On the other hand, he influenced his friends and cleansed their minds by exhibiting his ecstasy. You can see that. Very amazing consciousness. So, why people become affected by dualities? They are not taking shelter of Krishna very firmly. That's the reason. Because they have taken control in their own hands. So, high voltage electricity passes through you, your whole body shakes because you are not earthed. Everything is done, then it goes to ground, isn't it? If everything is not done, the whole thing comes on you. Similarly, doing earthing means we connect to Krishna. And then Krishna takes all our anxieties. Then you are blissfully situated. But somebody is not surrendering to the Lord, then they will always be afflicted by the grievances. And they will be morose. Because of their moroseness and grievances and affliction and constantly in a hopeless mood, then nobody can benefit from their association. Because they are not distributing bliss, they are distributing misery. Correct, no? Yeah. Prahlad was just the opposite. A devotee is never contaminated by material conditions. But persons subjected to material conditions can become spiritually advanced and blissful upon seeing the behavior of a pure devotee. Yeah. Tasmin Mahabhagavate Mahabhage Mahatmani Hiranyakashipuraja Akarot Aghamatmaje. My dear King Yudhishthira, the demon Hiranyakashipu tormented this exalted fortunate devotee, although Prahlad was his own son. So up to this point, we discussed the qualities of Prahlad in mode of goodness and transcendental qualities of Prahlad. So in this fourth chapter, so beautifully, the list of these qualities is given. So that is summarized here in this notes here. So a quick revision you can see. Quality of Prahlad 7.4.31 to 32. He was cultured as a qualified Brahmana, very good character, being determined to understand the real truth, full control of his senses and mind. He was kind to every living entity, was best friend of everybody, like a menial servant to respectable persons. He was like a father to the poor, like sympathetic brother to his equals, and considered his teachers, spiritual masters, and older God brothers to be as good as Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was completely free from unnatural pride that could come from opulences. He had all that, he had learning and beauty and wealth and everything, but he never became proud. So, this is a beautiful verse. We will memorize this verse. Brahmanya Shila Sampannaha Satya Sandho Jitendriyaha Atmavat Sarva Bhutanam Eka Priya Suhrittamaha Dasavat Sannataryangrihi Pitruvat Dina Vatsalaha Bratruvat Sadrishe Snigdho Gurushvishwara Bhavanaha Vidyartha Rupa Janmadhyo Manastambha Vivarjitaha. These are the good qualities of Prahlad. And then comes the sublime transcendental qualities. Unlike other asuras, he was never envious of Vaishnavas. Because Hiranyakashipu himself was envious of Vaishnavas, correct now? He wanted to destroy the temples, kill the cows, and burn the hermitages and all that. Whereas Prahlad was just the opposite. He was not agitated when put into danger. He was not interested in the fruitive activities, go to heaven or anything. He was devoid of material desires, controlled his senses and life fire with steady intelligence and determination. He subdued all lust desires, which means one requires a steady intelligence and determination for subduing lust. That's the secret. of subduing lust. That means Dasya Prajna Pratishtita. Once you get that. And then Prahlad is still glorified by saints and Vaishnavas. All the good qualities of Supreme Lord exist in his devotee Prahlad. Even the enemies of demons and demigods, they all cite Prahlad Maharaj as an example of a great devotee. And then you find, after glorifying that, then he is saying qualities of Prahlad, the transcendental qualities. He had unflinching faith in Vasudeva, unalloyed devotion to Lord Krishna, attachment to Krishna was natural, naisargiki. From childhood, he was uninterested in childish playthings. He was silent and dull to material stimuli, absorbed in Krishna consciousness. He was wondering how the people in the world can live without Krishna here. He was always embraced Govinda Parirambitaha. He did not know how his bodily activities were automatically performed. He didn't know when he eat, when did he sleep. Those activities went side by side. That was not his main thing. His main thing was Krishna consciousness. And he had ecstatic symptoms like this. Sometimes cried, sometimes laughed, sometimes was jubilation, sometimes sang loudly. Seeing the Lord, he would call out loudly. Sometimes he lost his shyness in jubilation and began dancing in ecstasy publicly. Sometimes he imitated the pastimes of the Lord. Sometimes feeling touch of the Lord's lotus hands, he became spiritually jubilant and remained silent, hair standing on end, tears gliding from his half-closed eyes. In association of the devotees, he constantly engaged in service of the Lord. By seeing his ecstasies, even materialistic people, they became purified. His friends in the school, the Gurukula. And then, these are the qualities. So, one of the highlight points I told you was that his father tormented him very badly, tortured him in varieties of ways. But those pains given to Prahlad's body did not enter his mind, and he was not afflicted by grievances, nor was he pouring out his grievance to anybody. Because of his advanced devotional service, he could evaporate them. Just like in a hot tawa, you sprinkle some water, what happens? Just absorbs, no? Like this. Like that, in any grievance you throw on a person who is ecstatically situated, you won't be able to affect his consciousness. So his consciousness is always blissfully situated in connection with Lord Vasudeva. Therefore, he could go to school and exhibit his ecstasy by preaching to his friends in a Bhraturvat, Pitruvat Sarvana. Bhraturvat, he says. So with his friends, he preached to them like a brother, loving brother. So it is mentioned that his friends, they had a deep respect for Prahlad and they were affectionate to Prahlad. At the same time, they also were eager to learn from Prahlad what is the absolute truth. These were the qualifications of his friends. And they picked up very quickly. And very soon there was a Sankirtan going on at the lunchtime. Prahlad and his friends were dancing in Kirtan. And the two Shandamarga were shocked. We are teaching these fellows for so long, that didn't sink in their hearts. And this Prahlad taught in the interval time and they became great devotees now. They were amazed by that. Prahlad Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Dakuraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So next 2-3 days I am continuing on 7th canto. Why? Because now what is coming? Narshinga? Chaturdashi is coming. That's what I am continuing. So today my highlight was what? Prahlada's qualities. I spoke on that. Then I also want to speak on Prahlada's conversation with his father, Hiranyakashipu. There are 2-3 conversations are there. We will also discuss that. Very important it is.
In the morning Bhagavatam class.
And the Bhagavatam class morning. I think 2 more days I will do, right? But there will be one highlight theme. Like today, the highlight theme was what? Qualities. Yeah, qualities of Prahlad.